What means who?
¿Quién? ¿Quién? Do you hear me? Can you hear me? Hello.
Yeah, Luis.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry, guys. My mistake. So Luis said that who means quién. So what means which? What means which? Gonzalo, what means which?
Which means in Spanish, ¿cuál?
Exactly.
English is for you choose in between two things.
Who, quién, which, cuál, that, qué. So who is for people? Which is for things, and that is for people and things. Please take note of these three clauses because these are three important words in the relative clauses. Okay, let's see. Let's ask to Alexa. Alexa, we are learning relative clauses. What are the two kinds of relative clauses? What are the two relative clauses we are learning today?
Defining and non-defining.
Excellent. Defining and not defining clauses. So going to the first category of the relative clauses, we find the defining clauses. So on defining clauses, Erica, all the information is not important. True or false?
False.
False, right? Because all the information is important. Let's see some examples again. When I was kicked out from the meeting, we lost the examples, but let's create a new examples. I love the woman. I love the woman who married me. Yo amo a la mujer con quien yo me casé. Let's see other example. Let's see other example. Abraham has a girlfriend who is a doctor. Number 3. Luis bought a car which is very expensive. And again, we have the same words here. Who, which. Let's see an example with that. It's an example with that. Lluvia sent a cake. Lluvia sent a cake that arrived 3 days later. Lluvia sent a cake that arrived 3 days later. Translation. Abraham tiene una novia. ¿Quién es doctor? ¿Quién es una doctora o un doctor? Ahora hay hasta doctores por no género. So, doctora o doctor, como lo digan ustedes está bien. Luis compró un carro, el cual es muy caro. O Luis compró un carro que es muy caro. Which means cuál o que es muy caro. ¿Cuál o que es muy caro? ¿Sí? Lluvia envió un pastel que llegó 3 días después. In defining clauses, all the information is important. All the information is important. Now, please, everyone, write one sentence in the chat. Who or which or that with defining clauses. Write a sentence using who or which or that. Only one sentence in the chat, please. Let's see your examples in the chat, I gave vegetables. When we use plural, we don't use a vegetables. It's not like in Spanish. Le di uno vegetales a Ana, quien es vegana. No, no. I gave vegetables to Ana. Or you can use some. Use a quantifier. I gave some vegetables to Ana, who is vegan. Excellent. Le di unos peruleros, unos huicoy. No, no, no. That's not that. Diana says, I chose only with one S. I chose a carrier that needs a lot of time. Remember that if we are talking about a carrier, it's third person, so we need to use needs. Michelle, I bought a charger which was broken. Excellent. Esri, that person whose name is Patrick helped me with this issue. We have another, just to clarify this point, if you see the whiteboard, I will add another pronoun to our list. And this is to show possession. To show possession in English, we use whose. Possession. So for example, in Esri's example, we don't write the apostrophe with who, but we use whose. La persona cuyo nombre o de quien es el nombre Patrick, me ayudó con mi problema. Podemos usar de quién o depende cómo se expresen en español, usamos cuyo. But not the little mouse, like cuyos o cuis. No, cuyo, like del cual, to show possession. That's the main idea. The main idea. Gonzalo says, we paid for a pizza which was delicious. Add the H before the I, Gonzalo. It's not which. Which is another word. It's which con H antes de la I, okay? Yesterday, Erika says, I met a friend who is from Guatemala. Guatemala? Who's Guatemala? Who's that place? Guatemala. Do you know that place, class? I will give you a chocolate if you can find this place. Don't hide yourself, Erika. No se esconda. Yesterday, I met a friend who is from Guatemala. Abraham says, I have a friend who lives in United States. Good. NASA, I don't like the people who don't say thank you. I have a friend who is from another country. Mr. Moreno, good example. Edwin says, I met Carlos. El tú lo quitamos. I met Carlos who is Susan's boyfriend. Susan's with apostrophe like this. Susan's boyfriend. Susan's boyfriend. Luis, I read the newspaper, which is of my father. I made a test, Naomi. I made a test that I received 2 days later. To remember that, Naomi and Aurea, you owe me a test, right? You owe me a test. We will talk about some gallo pinto or some tacos. We will talk later. Mr. Lopez says, I ate ice cream that was so sweet. When we have vowels, we use an ice cream. An, with N. Cuando tenemos vocales, usamos an. Consonantes, a. Alexa, Janet bought a tree which is very big. Excellent. I use a computer which my sister bought. Excellent. Alexa, he closed the door that is out. My sister, who works in the capital, she is 30 years old. Evelyn, yours is correct, but this is not a defining clause. This is non-defining clause. Las defining clause don't have commas. Defining clauses don't have commas. This is a non-defining class. The one that Evelyn, the example of Evelyn, my sister who works in the capital, she is 30 years old. But you can say a defining clause would be, I have a sister who works in the capital. That's a defining clause. Tengo una hermana que trabaja en el capital. Okay, questions so far with defining clauses. Can we take a screenshot of this one, Aurea, and share it in the group?
Yes, teacher. Ice cream.
A screenshot, not an ice cream.
It's
An ice cream es un helado. Un screenshot. No ice cream. Ice cream es un helado. Oh, you want to give me an ice cream? Okay, me quiere dar un helado. Okay, that's cool. That's cool. Thank you. Thank you. All right. So, non-defining clauses. Non-defining clauses. Let's go to that. Boop. Non-defining clauses. Non-defining clauses on this case. Let's see. Non-defining clauses give us extra information. Non-defining clauses give us extra information. They have commas. They have commas. I love Arabs who live in the desert. Turkish people, okay, excellent. That's a great example from a defining clause. Non-defining clauses give us extra information about the subject we are talking about the topic we are mentioning, etc. Let's see some examples. Let's see some examples. My boss, comma, who lives in United States is very nice. Let's see another example. We have the example from Evelyn. My sister, comma, who lives in the capital is 30 years old. My house, which is very little, will be sold soon. As you can see, we have commas here. Commas, and this phrase, who lives in USA, who lives in the capital, which is very little, you can't cut the sentence without this phrase. If I say, my boss is very nice, the sentence makes sense, right? My sister is 30 years old. Make sense? Yes, makes sense. I understand. My house will be sold soon. Makes sense. Mi casa será vendida pronto. Mi hermana tiene 30 años. Mi jefe es muy amable, muy genial. But because we have a non-defining clause, we are giving extra information to the sentence. My boss, what is the extra information? Who lives in USA? My sister, what is the extra information? Who lives in the capital? And my house, what is the extra information? Which is very little, will be sold soon. That's a non-defining clause. Let's try an example. Write an example using non-defining clauses. You can use who, which, or whose. In non-defining clauses, we don't use that. In non-defining clauses, we don't use that. Only with defining clauses. Why? Because United States grammar. Any claims, please call the Real Academy of English Language. In non-defining clauses, we never use that. My house, that is very little, will be sold soon? No. We always use which. We always use which. So help me with one example, each of you, and write it in the chat with non-defining clauses. My English teacher, whose name I will not say, needs a woman to marry. No woman, woman. In plural, no, what? Who said that? Excellent. Excellent example. Excellent example. But we don't know who is the teacher you are talking about, right? We don't know. We don't know. There is a lot of teachers in the world. Great example. Great example. Who else? Who else? Let's see your examples. You can use who, which, or whose. We can't use that. Write an example. Edwin says, my car, which is very expensive, is dirty. Great. My cousin, who lives in Spain, is handsome. Erica, remember, third person, who lives. Who lives in Spain? Don't forget third person in relative clauses and defining and not defining. We always use it. My girlfriend, Mr. Lopez, who lives in Mexico, is very beautiful. Lluvia?
That example.
I have seen you in I have seen you in a lot of room. Yeah, I don't know what's happening here. Don't hide yourself. So let's see, who's Mexican here? Aurea? Okay. So
Only example, teacher.
all right, it's an example, right, class? Yes, it's an example, right? Yeah. My girlfriend who lives in Mexico is very beautiful. Mr. Moreno says, my cell phone, not that, Mr. Moreno, not that. Con non-defining clauses no usamos that, usamos which. Con defining clauses, con las primeras que vimos, sí podemos usar who, which, that, whose. Con estas, solo which, who y whose. My cell phone, which was an iPhone, was very expensive because you are talking in past tense. Mi teléfono, que era un iPhone, era muy caro. But at the end, it makes sense if you mix both times, but be careful with the context. Mi teléfono, que era un iPhone, es muy caro. We can say that, depending in the context. Always which. Erika, my favorite singer, who sings amazing, that's why it's your favorite singer, of course. He's very tall. Okay. Maybe he doesn't sing well, but he's handsome, right? It can be like that. Edwin says, my sister who works in Guatemala will travel to El Salvador. Great. My favorite book, which is really cool, that's why it's your favorite book, we'll have a movie. Okay, we'll have a movie. Great example. My house, which is white, will be painted tomorrow. Excellent. My dog, which is so aggressive, was so calm during our walk. Excellent example. My brother, who is a police, is very serious. At the S of the end, Luis, serious. Very good. My sister, who is young, is taller than me. Than me, you need to add the H. Than me, Dianita. Than me. All right. Perfect, class. Questions so far with defining and non-defining clause. My car, which is very old, is in the classic car show. Nice. Let's see one more example. The computer, which color is blue, will sold tomorrow. Will be sold. Será vendida. Se venderá. Necesitamos el verbo to be. Will be sold. All right. Thank you for your examples, everyone. Thank you for your examples.